everyone, and welcome to Tim Talks. This week, we're going to talk about one of the most important things that we do in the vineyards, and that is pruning. So with me, I have two of my colleagues. I have Arturo,
Hi.
And I have Craig again, and we're going to talk about what we do in pruning. So it's in the middle of January right now. It's a little bit sunny. It's kind of warm. This is not normal. We would normally start pruning a little bit earlier, but Craig, why don't you explain our whole pruning techniques here at Trattore?
So Trattore does a pretty traditional pruning method here. This is called Cordon pruning. So what this is there's a permanent structure to the vine. You have the trunk, and then you have two permanent arms that are consistently laid out year after year after year. So what Arturo does is he prunes back to the spur positions that we've established on this vine, and he's going to leave 2 buds per spur. So
buds are the little buttons that you might see on those canes going up. So that's what we call the bud. That's where the actual foliage will come out of initially.
Exactly. And so each of these vines has between 9 and 12 spur positions. So this is a spur position right here. And by leaving 2 buds on each of those, we know how many shoots per vine we're going to get. And if we make the assumption that there'll be 2 clusters per shoot, that allows us to have a consistent crop level from year to year, and most importantly, to have consistent ripeness throughout the vineyard.
So, Arturo, you want to show us? Arturo has a special piece of equipment too. I love to invest in tools that can help us move faster, and so we have these battery-packed clippers. So he has a battery on his back, and then these clippers make it nice and easy, and he can go up. He's got a special glove on so that he won't cut his fingers off. And he can go up and nice and easily cut these different pieces here, leaving 2 buds per position as he's going through it.
So one of the important things about what he's doing is as he's cutting, he's trying to keep the spur positions as low as possible. If you cut to the top cane on each of these spurs will start to rise. And what happens then is the fruit zone, the area that actually produces the cluster, it gets variable. And we wanted to try to maintain it right in between this wire and this Cordon wire. So what he'll do is he'll look at this and say, okay, well, I'm going to prune to the lowest bud to keep the spur position down. And then the second thing he looks at is when the foliage starts to grow this year from these buds, we need to put it into the first fruiting wire. So we're trying to train everything within the plane of these posts, the highway stakes. And that's easy for harvesting, for spraying, for leaf pulling, all those kind of things.
A lot of people don't realize that, grapevines, there's a lot of management that goes into, training how they grow, and making sure that the foliage is in the right positions. We call it the canopy management. So these wires are here to basically create a wall of vines, and then the fruit is grown kind of at waist level or at tummy level, and that's how we harvest it. So
if you think of what we're trying to do is by leaving all these buds on here and a very specific bud count, we're trying to focus the energy of the vine into just those shoots.
So Craig, another thing that you see is all these vines in the vineyards. Why don't you explain what Arturo does and what we do with the vines after we cut them?
So after Arturo is done pruning, he pulls all that brush, and from 2 rows, he puts it all into 1 row. And our rows are nice and flat, so we take an implement that we call a flail mower or a chopper, and it's essentially like a rotating mulcher. And we drive over this, and it pulverizes the canes into almost like a sawdust consistency, so that it will easily biodegrade, and it puts it back into our soil. And that's a big part of our sustainability here is putting organic material back into the soil, plus all the nutrients that the vines have stored are in that wood, and we're giving those back to the soil as well, feeding the microbes and all the other good stuff that help keeps our soil nice and healthy.
So in general, this is all about managing our crop, getting even ripeness, and getting concentration in the fruit that does grow, so that we yield the highest quality fruit possible. And this is where wine starts, folks. It starts in the field. as Craig and I always say, you can make great wine from great fruit, but you can't make great wine from crappy fruit. So pruning is super important. And with that, Arturo, let's help you get through all these vines, because we got a lot of vines to do. So thanks everyone for watching Tim Talks, and we'll see you again next week.